Imagine your family demanding something so incredibly personal, so vital, that it completely took your breath away. What would you do if a relative, someone you're supposed to love, tried to stake a claim on your very own organs? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Hazel. Grab your coffee, because today we have a story that redefines family obligation. Our storyteller, Wren, had always tried to maintain a peaceful relationship with her husband Silas's sister, Calliope. It wasn't always easy, as Calliope had a tendency to be quite demanding and self-centered from a young age. Silas often had to mediate between his wife and his sister, which was a role he never truly enjoyed. Wren, however, genuinely loved Silas and understood that family dynamics could be incredibly complex and often frustrating. She made an effort to be kind, to offer help when needed, and to always show up for family events. Calliope, on the other hand, viewed Wren as someone who was simply there and often took her kindness for granted. She had a knack for making any situation revolve around herself, even at the most inappropriate times. Despite this, Wren never let it sour her relationship with Silas, knowing he was a good man caught in the middle. Then, a few years into Wren and Silas's marriage, devastating news arrived that shook their entire family. Calliope was diagnosed with a severe kidney condition, one that would eventually require a transplant. The doctors were clear: without a new kidney, Calliope's health would rapidly decline and her life would be at risk. The news confronted everyone hard, and Wren immediately offered her support, just as any compassionate person would. She helped Silas research specialists, offered to drive Calliope to appointments, and brought over meals. Wren truly felt for Calliope, regardless of their past tension, and hoped for a positive outcome for everyone. The initial phase was all about finding a suitable donor. The family started the search, hoping for a match. Many relatives were tested, but unfortunately, no immediate family members were a direct match for Calliope. This was a setback, but the doctors assured them that there were still options, including deceased donor lists. However, Calliope quickly grew impatient with the process, finding the wait unbearable and the uncertainty terrifying. She started expressing her frustration to anyone who would listen, complaining about the unfairness of her situation. Wren listened patiently, offering words of encouragement and reminding Calliope that hope was still very much alive. Then, one evening, after a particularly emotional family dinner, Calliope cornered Wren in the kitchen. Silas had stepped out to take a call, leaving the two of them alone, which was rare and usually a bit awkward. Calliope started talking about the desperate need for a donor, her voice laced with an unusual intensity. She looked Wren directly in the eyes and said, "Wren, you're family now. You have to help me." Wren, initially thinking she meant helping with fundraising or further research, nodded encouragingly. But Calliope continued, her voice dropping to a serious, almost demanding whisper. "You're healthy, you're young, and you have two perfectly good kidneys. You could be my donor." Wren felt a cold shock run through her. She blinked, trying to process what she had just heard. "Calliope, what are you saying?" Wren asked, her voice barely above a whisper herself. Calliope squared her shoulders. "I'm saying you should give me one of your kidneys. It's the family thing to do." The audacity of the demand stunned Wren into silence. Her mind raced, unable to form a coherent response. Calliope pressed on, interpreting Wren's silence as contemplation rather than pure disbelief. "Think about it, Wren. You only need one. I need one to live a full life. It's a simple choice." Wren finally found her voice, though it was shaky. Calliope, that's a huge decision, a medical procedure. It's not a decision, it's an obligation, Calliope countered, her tone becoming sharper. You married into this family, Wren. You're part of us now. And family helps family? Wren felt a wave of anger rise within her, but she tried to keep her voice calm and even. I understand you're scared, Calliope, but this is not something you can demand from someone. Calliope scoffed. Why not? You clearly don't need both of yours. It's selfish to hoard them. At that moment, Silas walked back into the kitchen, sensing the tension, his eyes darting between the two women. Was everything all right in here? He asked, his brow furrowed with concern, immediately picking up on the heavy atmosphere. Calliope immediately turned to her brother, a look of injured innocence on her face. Wren is being unreasonable, Silas. Silas looked at Wren, his expression a mix of confusion and alarm, waiting for her explanation. Wren calmly explained that Calliope was demanding one of her kidneys, as if it were an item she could simply take. Silas's eyes widened in shock, his jaw dropping slightly in disbelief at what he was hearing. It's for my health, Silas, Calliope interrupted, her voice rising in a dramatic plea. Wren is being completely unreasonable. She's family, Silas. Family helps family, especially when someone's life is on the line, Calliope insisted, trying to sway her brother. Silas turned to Calliope, trying to understand. Calliope, is this true? Are you asking Wren for a kidney? I didn't ask, Silas. She demanded it, Wren clarified, her voice shaking slightly with residual anger. Like I owed her a body part. Silas put a hand up, trying to calm the situation. Calliope, a kidney donation is a massive medical procedure, not a casual favour. Calliope scoffed, crossing her arms. She has two! Why is she being so selfish? My doctor said I need one now. The full weight of Calliope's audacity seemed to confronted Silas then, his face hardening with a dawning realization. Calliope, you cannot demand a kidney from anyone, least of all Wren. That is completely out of line, Silas stated firmly. Calliope gasped, looking utterly betrayed by her brother's stance. Silas, are you taking her side over your own sister? I'm not taking sides, I'm stating a fact. Wren has every right to her own body, Silas replied, his voice unwavering. He stepped closer to Wren, a clear sign of his support, his arm briefly brushing hers in reassurance. Calliope, seeing she wasn't getting her way, grabbed her purse and stormed out of the kitchen, muttering indignantly. Wren and Silas stood in silence for a moment, the tension slowly dissipating, replaced by a heavy quiet. Wren, I am so incredibly sorry for her behaviour, Silas said, turning to his wife, a look of profound apology on his face. Wren just shook her head, still processing the shocking demand. I can't believe she said that, Silas. I know, love. It's beyond anything I've ever heard her say, he agreed, his own shock evident in his tone. I'll talk to her again, properly, when she's calmed down. This isn't okay, Silas promised, holding Wren's hand. But despite Silas's promise, the following weeks were anything but calm, as Calliope refused to let the matter drop. She began sending Wren a barrage of text messages, some pleading, others subtly guilt-tripping her. Calliope would share graphic details of her medical appointments and declining health, trying to manipulate Wren. Wren felt a constant knot in her stomach, checking her phone with dread, her peace completely shattered. Silas tried to intervene with Calliope, but she would hang up on him or deflect, refusing to acknowledge her wrongdoing. Soon, Calliope began to involve other family members, twisting the narrative to gain their sympathy and support. She portrayed Wren as a cold, heartless person who was letting her own sister-in-law suffer needlessly. Some relatives, not knowing the full extent of Calliope's demands, began to echo her sentiments, putting pressure on Wren. Family gatherings became incredibly awkward, with hushed whispers and uncomfortable glances directed at Wren and Silas. Wren felt increasingly isolated, even within Silas's own family, as Calliope's campaign gained traction. Silas grew more and more frustrated with his sister's relentless, unhinged pursuit of Wren's organ. He realized Calliope wasn't just desperate, she was dangerously deluded, seeing Wren as a resource, not a person. The situation reached a boiling point at a large family dinner, when Calliope cornered Wren near the buffet table. In front of everyone, she tearfully pleaded, "Please, Wren, you're my only hope. My life is in your hands." Wren's face burned with mortification, feeling utterly exposed and humiliated by Calliope's public performance. Silas, seeing Wren's distress, stepped forward, his voice firm and clear. "Calliope, that is enough. Stop this now." The dinner erupted into a shocked silence, then a cacophony of murmurs as family members began taking sides. Wren and Silas knew then that they had to establish strict boundaries to protect their peace and Wren's well-being. They made the difficult decision to significantly limit their contact with Calliope for their own sanity. Calliope's efforts became even more desperate and public, her sense of entitlement growing with each rejection. She shared ambiguous updates on social media, alluding to family dynamics and significant decisions. Wren and Silas were forced to confront the reality of Calliope's extreme narcissism and manipulative. It became clear that Calliope saw Wren not as a human being, but as an object capable of fulfilling her needs. This was no longer about a family plea, it was about Calliope's complete disregard for Wren's autonomy. The constant harassment and emotional toll began to strain even Wren and Silas's strong relationship. The relentless pressure from Calliope was chipping away at their peace of mind, day after day. Calliope's calls became more frequent, her messages more accusatory, painting herself as a victim. She even started showing up unannounced at Wren's workplace, creating uncomfortable scenes. Wren's colleagues began to notice the strange women harassing her, causing professional distress. Silas, usually calm, found himself losing patience with his sister's relentless and irrational demands. They knew they had to take a stand, to draw a firm line that Calliope could not cross. It was no longer about compassion, it was about protecting their mental and emotional well-being. Wren decided to consult with a legal professional about their options for dealing with harassment. The lawyer advised them on cease and desist orders and restraining order possibilities. Silas, with a heavy heart, realized that his sister had pushed them past the point of no return. They sent Calliope a formal cease and desist letter detailing her harassing behavior. The letter clearly stated that any further contact would result in legal action. They also informed their extended family of Calliope's actions, presenting their side of the story. This was a difficult step, as it meant exposing Calliope's manipulative nature to everyone. Many relatives were shocked, having only seen Calliope's carefully constructed victim persona. Calliope was absolutely furious when she received the legal document from Wren and Silas. She felt betrayed and righteous, believing she was entirely justified in her quest for a kidney. Her social media posts intensified, but now they were explicitly targeting Wren and Silas. She accused them of being cruel, heartless, and abandoning her in her time of need. However, the legal letter provided a stark contrast to her fabricated narrative. Folks, this story is a masterclass in extreme entitlement and the breakdown of family boundaries. Calliope didn't just ask, she demanded a vital organ, seeing her sister-in-law as a resource. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? Have a family member believe they are owed your body? Her escalation from a plea to outright harassment shows a complete lack of empathy. She truly believed she was the protagonist in this narrative, and everyone else was a supporting character. The way she weaponized social media to guilt trip and manipulate was particularly disturbing. It's a common tactic for narcissists to control the narrative and garner sympathy. But Wren and Silas showed incredible strength in refusing to be bullied into such a profound sacrifice. Their decision to involve legal counsel wasn't an act of malice, it was self-preservation. It's about drawing a line, asserting autonomy, and protecting your peace. Imagine the emotional burden of constantly fending off demands for your very life force. Wren's body, her choices, her life, none of it was Calliope's to claim or dictate. This isn't what family means. Family is about support, respect, and unconditional love, not obligation. Calliope conflated the idea of family with the idea of ownership, which is a dangerous delusion. Silas, caught between his wife and his sister, had to make an incredibly tough choice. His loyalty to Wren and to their shared future ultimately had to take precedence. He realized that enabling Calliope's behavior would destroy his own marriage and peace. The revealing of Calliope's true colors to the wider family was painful but necessary. It's often the last resort when dealing with a deeply manipulative person who lives in denial. This story reminds us that sometimes self-protection means walking away from toxic relationships, even if that toxic relationship is with someone you are supposed to share a bloodline with. Wren's courage to say no, despite the immense pressure, is truly inspiring. She understood that her boundaries were sacred and no one had the right to violate them. And Silas's unwavering support for his wife speaks volumes about his character. They chose health, peace, and mutual respect over a one-sided, draining dynamic. This isn't just about a kidney, it's about the fundamental right to bodily autonomy. It's about recognizing that family doesn't grant anyone ownership over another person's body or choices. The audacity of Calliope to make such a demand and then weaponize their relationship is truly shocking. She believed her needs superseded Wren's comfort, health, and even her very personhood. But Wren stood firm, protecting herself from a truly invasive and unreasonable request. And sometimes standing firm means creating distance from those who refuse to respect your boundaries. It's a sad reality that some family ties can be more damaging than beneficial. Preserving your peace and well-being often means prioritizing yourself over another's unreasonable expectations. Wren and Silas have likely found a deeper, more peaceful connection with each other, free from that particular drama. Their story reminds us that true love and support mean respecting the no in all its forms. It means never pressuring someone into a decision that compromises their health or happiness. This situation highlights how essential it is to have a partner who will stand by you no matter what. Silas didn't waver. He was his wife's unwavering shield against Calliope's relentless entitlement. That kind of solidarity is the bedrock of a healthy, respectful partnership. So, what do you all think about Calliope's shocking demand? Have you ever encountered a family member who felt entitled to something deeply personal from you? How did you navigate that difficult and often emotionally charged situation? I'm really curious to hear your perspectives on setting boundaries with demanding relatives. Let me know in the comments below, and let's discuss this together. It's always a tricky balance, but your stories can help others feel less alone. And if you enjoyed this story about Wren, Silas, and Calliope's audacity, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Hazel Tells Stories. Your support helps this channel grow, and I love sharing these tales with all of you. Grab another coffee, and I'll catch you in the next one, drama lovers.